Hello, I'm Dr. David Hawkins from Marriage Recovery Center and MarriageRecoveryCenter.com, and you've been asking for it, so we're going to give it to you, and that's information about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And they are not two different people, though they sure seem like two different people, because you know the deal. You know that when it's good, it is so very good, and that's Dr. Jekyll, and he is so nice, he is so caring, he is sensitive, he is sweet, he is just really a loving, loving person, and that's why you married him, that's why you're dating him, that's why you're going with him. And then almost out of nowhere comes this other guy, Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Hyde is not so nice and not so caring, and he can be mean-spirited, he can hurt you, he will hurt you, he will hook you, he is nasty, and you find yourself kind of wondering, what is the deal? I mean, is this man really Dr. Jekyll? Is he Mr. Hyde? Who is he? And that's what we want to talk about. So this is part 2 of misconceptions about Mr. Hyde. You know, we talked about before that Mr. Hyde isn't trying to be crazy-making, though he is. He isn't trying to create chaos, though he does. He isn't trying to hook you, though he does do that. He's not trying to do any of this stuff. He doesn't notice when he shifts from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. This happens just in an instant within himself, and he has no awareness or no insight about it. So I told you in the first broadcast, don't get into a conspiracy theory thinking he's trying to hook me, he's trying to mess with me, he's trying to make me mad, he's not. This stuff, sadly, comes natural to him. Now, I want to cover 3 more very important misconceptions. Actually, 2 more misconceptions. And the third one is going to be some strategies and some tools. So, sadly, Mr. Hyde is not going to initiate change. Okay? So don't be waiting. There's a misconception out there, and that is if you wait long enough, you know, if you pry hard enough, if you beg long enough, if you do whatever long enough, he will give us a phone call and say, I want counseling. It won't happen. Don't wait. It's not going to happen. So Mr. Hyde never calls us. Well, actually, he might call us if you do something drastic. That leads to my next point. Okay, so Mr. Hyde rarely seeks counseling, only when he's in desperate straits and only when the women have done something to initiate the change. So the next thing I want you to know is this. Begging for change, here's my last misconception. Begging for change will get you nowhere. Begging for change instead of insisting upon it, now listen carefully, insisting for change with enforceable consequences. That's what leads to change. Let me say that again because it's so important. So begging for change, nagging for change, trying to talk him into change will get you nowhere and will make your head spin, and pretty soon you won't know up from down. But boundaries, insisting upon change with enforceable consequences. Let me give you one example of what that might look like. You know what? This is you talking to him. I love you very much. I care about you. I want to stay married to you. But there are some qualities in you that are intolerable. And here's the deal. I am willing to stay married to you. I'm willing to live with you as long as you go to couples counseling with me starting next week. He will resist. He will scratch and claw and whine and moan. But if you stay firm, enforceable consequences, he will go to counseling with you. And that leads to my final point that I want to make so clearly and so most importantly to you, and that is, and my colleagues don't all agree with me on this. I take a little bit of a contrarian point of view, and it is this. Couples counseling is often the most effective way of making change with these men. So often they are not inclined to come into counseling, but if you can come into counseling with them, and if you say, look, I am willing to go to counseling with you, and in this couples counseling, where in the relationship we see the dynamics played out, as clinicians, that's where we are able to apply leverage. So we're able to sit with a couple, for example, and we watch Mr. Hyde come out. I did this just this last weekend, a couple from Alabama. This guy is sitting there. He is the nicest guy under the sun. He's working very effectively, and all of a sudden, she says something he doesn't like, and boom! Here comes Mr. Hyde. Well, you're always... You know, he's attacking her. He is shifting the blame. He is making excuses. He is minimizing his own behavior, and she's sitting there stunned, and I'm going, does this happen in your relationship at home? And she is going, yes, it does. And I ask him, do you act like this in other places? And he goes, act like what? I didn't do anything. He doesn't even see it. But in couples counseling, that's where we're able to see these character traits. And please hear that word, character traits. That means they're pervasive. They are part of him, and they come out in the couple's relationship. So, you want Mr. Hyde gone? We want him gone. We want you to live with Dr. Jekyll. Here's what you got to do. You set boundaries with enforceable consequences. You insist on couples counseling, and yeah, let me put a plug in for the Marriage Recovery Center, because that's what we do, that's what we specialize in. Come to the Marriage Recovery Center, where we work with you for 15 hours, 3-hour sessions. We look and we see the character traits that need to be changed. We confront them, we hold the man accountable, and that's what's going to get change for you. So, if that sounds appealing to you, I want you to give us a call. We'll talk to you more about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and look us up at Marriage Recovery Center, marriagerecoverycenter.com. I'm Dr. David Hawkins.